It's Will. I thought I would go through a few stocks that are setting up, in my opinion, to be purchased for Monday. Um, this isn't obviously recommendations to buy. I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm just trying to tell you what I'm looking for, and through that, it'll demonstrate kind of my approach, which is pretty much swing trading. Um, I'm using TC2000 here. If you want to get a free trial or a $25 discount, check out the link in the description below. I've got the gold plan and I'm using the real-time data, US real-time data. So what I look for is a break of a downtrend like this, and other things that would confirm that situation. Because if it's in a really big downtrend, this is just more like a pullback after an uptrend. But other things that can be I look at are like a MACD cross. So I've got on this chart with TC2000, you can put multiple indicators. So I've got price percent oscillator, which is MACD. It just zeroes out the it allows you to compare different stocks because they're all zeroed out, so that like in this case, but the basic idea is that when this crosses the moving average, it's a potential buy signal. So you can see here when the MACD crossed, there was a nice swing trade here, and when it crossed down as well. So it's not 100% perfect. Like if you see resistance here, like these lines, these peak to here, hit here, you need to get past that point usually before you'll see a good uptrend. So just because you have a cross like right here, I wouldn't buy, because there's 50 moving averages right here. So chances are it's not going to be able to break through that the first time for sure. So the other thing we can see is that we had support at the 50-day moving average pretty much, and then we're starting to move up, and then you've got this relative strength. I like to plot this. So on TC2000, on top of the graph, you can put, like, if you wanted to put the S&P 500, or if you, in this case, the relative strength, and then there's this little indicator thing, so you can move it around, like, because if it's way up here, like right in between, you might not want, or right on top of the other chart. So it's kind of nice. You can sort of squeeze it down. So you can see the relative strength is moving, which means that it's moving up in relation to the S&P 500. You could even put a line like this across the relative strength to see that you've broken through a downtrend as well. So FUTU stock is looking pretty good. Like I said, it has a bounce off the 50. MACD, stochastics moving up. I also put sales and earnings per share on here, and you can see that it's increased here. I also use MarketSmith. So I go over to here, and when you put in FUTU, so this is like for the fundamentals, it's got a composite rating of 99. So that's kind of like the overall rating of the stock based on MarketSmith's evaluation. But you can see on the daily chart, like the earnings and the sales going up insanely huge. The only risk is that this is a Chinese company, and there's been issues with the government, obviously, doing things to Baba and Alibaba and stuff like that. So, but you can see with MarketSmith, like the earnings per share going up. Oh, the other thing is they have to do financial disclosure. A lot of times they're not doing things the way the United States does. It could be like with Luck and Coffee, and certain stocks can be, scams or incorrectly reported. So, but so I will look at that. But like TC2000 has data as well on sales and earnings, but MarketSmith's more thorough, and it's got future estimates as well. Plus, you get all their ratings of other funds, the funds that are investing in it, which is in there in TC2000. But oops. All right, so FUTU is one. Another one I like is NIO right now. So NIO and electric vehicles have really gone up a huge amount. So, they are quite high. But what happened with NIO was it's one of the best ones in terms of the Chinese EV stocks. You had a pullback here, but then you had support a couple times on the 50, especially this last one. And we've broken a little bit through this. You can see that it went up on Thursday and then it got pushed back down. So it's kind of like that first entry. Now the MACD, it's a little bit weak here, but you're starting to see a bit of a cross here. It almost crossed here, but then it here. So I use price is the biggest one. The candles aren't huge right here, but this looks like an entry. And also the relative strength is, it came up and it came down and then it went back up again. So it is, it's not at the high it was back here, but it's one to definitely watch. So I didn't mention this on FUTU, but what I want to see, so a lot of these like FUTU went up high, it came back down, not as much as NIO came back, but when I buy, like on a day that I buy, I like to see strength. So I'm not going to buy like if it's a dark candle like this and just hope that the next day, because like say it went up here, oh, this is looking good. And then buy on a down day like that because, you see how it kept going down. So this is where it started. You see the up candles. There's been like 3 in a row. This one's not huge, but the last one is like a doji. But, you can wait 15 minutes or 30 minutes. It's not a guarantee, but in the morning of the trading and see that you've got some positive trading. So like, I wouldn't generally buy like this one here. It came down. It started at the end later. It pushed right back up here, but it's still a down candle. So I wait the next day if I saw this up day, some strength support at the 8 EMA. At the 8 EMA, I would definitely, consider buying it at that point. Just to give you an example, sorry, my throat. So I've got some stocks here. Health is actually, like some of these aren't necessarily growth stocks, but I just want to show you the same sort of pattern where you have this break of a downtrend here. You got MACD crossing, stochastics rising here, and then you have once it broke, there was a bit of a pullback, so that can happen like the first day. And these are still red volatility stops until Thursday where you had this nice candle. So that would have been a good entry point. But these are old established stocks, and they've been somewhat hurt by COVID a lot of times. But if you look at this, I have these sectors ETFs here, and for the first time, because I watch these every day, like during the stock, most of the time they're tech type stocks, or like copper and stuff like that. But I've been starting to see the financials. So XLF has been creeping up at the top, like in terms of the close, the closing gain. Real estate doesn't look great, but there's just noticing, and because I mentioned UNH, XLV is starting to pop up. So with TC2000, you can open up the ETF and see the stocks that are in there. You can sort them by whatever you like. I don't always sort them by the gain because that's not necessarily the best stocks, but it does give you an idea of stocks that are near the top. SYK looks really good. What I'll do is I have a slope of the MACD, so that's like the steeper the slope, kind of the more momentum it has. So I'll sort by PPO or MACD, and you can see that SYK is up there. And you had this flat period, so another breakout instead of a downtrend is from a flat base, and so it doesn't always, like when you break out here, you don't get much of a gain before it comes back down, you see. So buying at a breakout is a bit, it can work and it can be a bit risky in the sense that you're higher up. If you're buying lower after a break, like down here, like if I put a line and I'm waiting for the red V stops to turn green and a MACD cross like here, I can buy here and still get some gains before there's a pullback, but it's not it doesn't, when you buy on a breakout, it's not a guarantee that you're going to get a long-term uptrend. Like you see, a lot of these aren't very, long-term in terms of their trade length. But anyway, I just wanted to show you that you can look here. The other thing I do is with TC2000 is look at the drill down tab. So there's different tabs here, and there's fundamentals. There's a drill down, which I use sector by year. And so drill down shows you for the day, the previous day or the current day, if it's during trading, what industries, what sectors are doing well. So you can see, I mentioned a few, but utilities is breaking through. Financial services, I mentioned, real estate and industrials, healthcare, consumer defensive are kind of right now, coming up a bit. So if we look at utilities, there's a few, it depends how you sort them, but I'll just show you. Next Era is one I was watching before. Like in the past, it had a really good, unbelievable run here. And, it's come back huge since March. Like if you look at this, it's come back pretty big, 65%. Not as much as some of the tech stocks. And it has been flat for these couple of periods. But you see, if you zoom in here, how you've now come up above the 50 MA. So you had support here at the 50. It didn't really last. You can see the declining MACD. And now you have cross back up on the MACD, and you have this above the 50 and the 200. So we'll see what happens, but that's not a bad spot. I'm not super excited about utilities, but it is something that you can see there that you have a bit of a break. So this is one of the ways to see the best sectors. And if you go sector by year, it hasn't updated. Like it's just obviously New Year's just came about, but next week you should see the gains by sector for 2020. And obviously here technology and consumer cyclical were the best. And you can see under cyclical you have auto manufacturers, which gives you NIO. I mean, that was an insane 1100%. Solo Mechanica, Electrical Mechanica, Solo, Tesla, 742%. So you can see the gains of these stocks. And the chances are a lot of these are still going to keep going. Like history kind of provides a guide to what's... You can have stocks that go up a lot and they have a high relative strength, and then they decline after that because they were maybe a COVID related stock or something. But a lot of these do tend to continue to grow. So you can see that those are mostly the electric cars. If we go to specialty retail, Blink was huge, 9,000%. So that's a stock that is a charger for the electric cars as well. But you had Kirkland, specialty retail, 1,300%. So these are ones that you might, if you're going to trade them, the chances of those doing really well. But you have something like Overstock, which had a huge run and now it's in a downtrend. So we'll see if it supports at the 50. But they were involved in Bitcoin as well. So they you would think that they would have a return on that. Jumaya had an insane growth. PDD, Etsy. So these are ones where you get ideas. GameStop is a good one. So you can see they're still in a, that's a weekly chart, but you can see they're still in a great uptrend. Gambling is another huge one. DraftKings had a huge gain, 333%. It's not doing great right now, but we'll see what happens if it supports at the 50. They're waiting for approvals and things like that in the States, but gambling is a big one. And obviously with technology, they put solar in there. Solar's huge. I'm currently in EMPHN phase, but there's a whole bunch: Run, S Power, Sol, Beam, Viv Power, Nova, Sedge, JKS, Canadian Solar. Gaming is huge. SC Limited. C is actually a good one to consider potentially. It's in this nice uptrend, and it kind of broke this little pullback and support at the 50 here. I was looking at this, but it was just not doing much here. And that is one of the best ones. Gravity doesn't look good right now to me, but I have take 2 currently. It's in a really nice uptrend, so I'm in take 2 as well, as long as it's still in this uptrend above the 8 EMA. So this gives you an idea of what are the great stocks to get. Let's go back to the daily. Since I mentioned Bitcoin, we have this unbelievable gain the last couple of days, like over the weekend, the New Year's Day, New Year's Eve kind of weekend. It's up another 2,000 today, so it's at 34,000. And so stocks you can look at, but like I said, it is a bit heated right now. Like I actually have Bitcoin. Like I have Bitcoin itself. I don't have currently. I don't have these. I've been in these before, but Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. It actually looked really good in terms of buying, because it's really, it's generally in a nice state. But I think, if you can get in the pre-market, it's going to go crazy on Monday. So, if you try to get in, it's going to be up a huge amount pretty quickly. So, but like this would have been a time to get in for sure. It's above the 8 EMA. You broke this flat base. So you bought right here. I put the line. It would have been a great spot. This would have been a good, seeing strength, seeing an up candle. I don't want to buy when I'm seeing like a down candle, but some people, would do that. But I want to see that, it's on an up. It's on a strong day. Sorry, my voice. Silvergate SI. This one's going to explode as well. It's a financial company, but you should have been in this, if not back here when it, if you had a break of this flat spot here, little pullback here, that would have been a good one. MicroStrategy, that one's going to go crazy probably. But you see how I drew this line? That would have been a time to get in if you didn't get in back there. Marathon, I believe, is another one, but it doesn't look as good. But these are ones that are related to Bitcoin. But in Canada, we have this. Let's see, QBTC. It's in the ticker is QBTC.to. So if you're in the States, I'm not sure what how you would get it if you're able to get the Canadian stocks, but this one isn't as expensive as Grayscale, so it's fairly new though. But in the volume, you don't have the volume of Grayscale, but this is one that allows, has Bitcoin as well. That's about all I wanted to say. I've got a whole bunch of stocks that I put on here, and these are ones that, like, once you see strong stocks and maybe you sell because if they triggered a stop loss or something, I will put them back in my a list for watching for pullbacks and stuff like that. So like CrowdStrike went up a bit steep, came back, and it's sitting on the 8 EMA. So if I see strength again in CrowdStrike, I would consider getting in on that. You had a whole bunch of growth stocks that pulled back, like Chewy did really well. I rode this right up here, and then I got out. Like you can see where my my stop was. It crossed here, and it might support at this 21 EMA or down at the 50, but I don't want to ride it down. So I'm going to wait to see strength on an incline. You can see the relative strength coming down. Etsy has some support at the 21, so it could recover. But people were dumping all the growth stocks when the bailout came, when the next stimulus package came. But you see this cross down on the MACD and this decline. So, you know, I got out, but I can always get back in if I see strength there. Autodesk, I'm in this one. So you can see this uptrend, and it was getting weak. It was small little candles pulling back and MACD crossing down, but it stayed above the volatility, like my stops, and then you had this up day. So we'll see what happens, but it's doing okay, but it's not, you know, it's not exciting right now. Stone I kept in as well. It's the same thing. It was weak, pulling back, and for a growth stock, which the other ones were selling, this one got a bit of a bump, 1.5. But like, because I see this decline and sort of weakness here, I'm not sure. These candles aren't that big anyway most of the time, but Trimble is, you know, these are really small flat candles, decline in the MACD, so it's looking pretty weak. I'd like to see a break out of this high here, but so it's hanging on, but it's not too exciting. I told you I was in the take two, looking really good. iClean is, you know, obviously it's had a good run. I think a lot of people are taking profits, and so we'll see. But inside there you have, you know, the solar stuff. DQ is a good one. It's a semiconductor. You also have Plug, you know, for the other types of power, like the natural gas, or they're not just solar companies, but the Apple's, you know, they're making their own chips and getting into health and maybe even a car. So this one, you know, the fangs were looking like they perked up a bit, but you saw this 3-day pullback here. So we'll see what happens with that, but it's in an uptrend. It's still above the 80 MA and above the stops. And retail was doing really well. You can buy individual stocks in the retail that are, you know, doing great. 5 just broke out above this recent high, MACD cross, so that's one that you could look at getting into as well. All right, that's good enough. Hope you guys like that. You just get the sense of how I'm, you know, doing things. Just the way I'm doing it. You don't have to do it that way, but I try to help. And don't forget, you can get the TC2000 software. It's unbelievable and great support. You can get a link down below in the description for a free trial and a $25 discount off of if you decide to purchase. Talk to you guys later.